It's 8:45 a.m. Your class starts at 9. You left home early just to be safe, but now you're stuck circling the same 3 lots for the third time. Every space is taken. The garages are full. The clock is ticking, and the anxiety, it's rising fast. This isn't just a one-time inconvenience. This is the reality for hundreds of students every single day at the University of Kentucky. And what makes it worse? You've paid hundreds of dollars for a parking permit, but that permit doesn't promise you a parking spot. It only buys you permission to join the scramble. I'm here today to talk about something that may seem small on the surface, but has big impact on student life: parking. It affects our stress levels, our finances, and even our academic success. If you've ever missed class, gotten a ticket, or walked 20 minutes from a faraway lot, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This isn't about complaining. It's about raising a serious concern and offering real, fair solutions. Because students shouldn't have to fight to get to class, my name is Mariana Zambrano, and I want to take the next few minutes to show you why the University of Kentucky needs to rethink its approach to student parking. Let's talk numbers. Because when you look at the costs of parking at UK, it becomes clear that students are being asked to pay a premium without getting premium experience. A basic commuter student parking permit, that'll cost you $336 a year. If you live on campus and need residential parking, that's $432, and those are just the base rates. If you ever accidentally park in the wrong zone, or if there are no open spots in your assignated area, you could face fines ranging from $25 to $50 per ticket. Add that up over a semester or two, and it's hundreds more out of your pocket. Now, for comparison, the University of Louisville charges around $300 for student parking. Eastern Kentucky University offers some permits for less than $200. Meanwhile, here at UK, we're expected to pay some of the highest student parking prices in the state. And for what? To circle full lots, deal with unclear signage, or walk 10 to 15 minutes from a distance zone? For many students, this is a serious financial burden. We're already balancing tuition, rent, books, food, and in many cases, part-time jobs. An extra $336 or more just to get to class? That's not accessibility, that's a paywall. And let's be honest, this isn't optional. UK is not a compact campus. Many buildings are far apart, and not everyone has the luxury of living nearby. So for thousands of students, parking isn't a convenience, it's a necessity. So we've talked about how expensive parking is, but now let's ask a deeper question. Who is actually getting access to parking on campus, and where are those spaces located? According to UK Transportation Services, the majority of student permits, 59%, are issued to commuters. That's thousands of students who live off campus and rely on their cars to get to class every single day. Then we have 31% of permits issued to the residential students, those who live on campus but still need a way to park near their dorms or apartments, especially if they work off campus or commute home on weekends. The remaining 10% is split between students with disabilities and those with evening-only permits. That means nearly 90% of all student drivers are using the system daily and depend on it being efficient and reliable. But here's the problem. The spaces with easiest access to classroom buildings are often reserved for faculty, staff, and administrators. Now, of course, those individuals deserve access too, but the proportion of convenient parking does not reflect student needs. You'll often find student lots placed at the far edges of campus, or in overflow zones that are 10 to 20 minute walk from most academic buildings. These areas fill up quickly. Students then have to decide whether to risk parking in a closer unauthorized zone or miss part of class trying to find a legitimate space. What message does that send? That despite being the largest group on campus, students are the last priority when it comes to transportation access. The numbers speak for themselves, but more importantly, they highlight a systemic problem. The needs of student drivers are being overlooked, despite the fact that we're the only ones keeping this system funded. So now, we know parking is expensive, but that most spaces are either limited or inconvenient. But it's not just about cost or location. It's about how rigid and inflexible the system is. If you don't buy a parking permit, you're basically shut out of campus parking entirely. There are no free zones where students can park for even a short time. No temporary permits for days when you have to drive. No guest passes for visiting family or carpools. This isn't about most students being entitled. It's about fairness. Most of us are doing everything right. We're paying for permits, we're showing up early, but the system still fails us. Imagine the anxiety of circling a lot before an exam, or walking 15 minutes alone at night after an evening lab, or constantly worrying that a single mistake, like parking in the wrong color zone, would cost you a $40 ticket. There has to be a better way, a more flexible, more supportive system, one that reflects the reality of student life and respects the effort we make into just showing up. By now, we know the system is expensive and overcrowded, but here's what often gets overlooked: the hidden toll that UK's parking system is taking on students. Let's start with finances. The permit itself is a few $100s. But that's just the beginning. If you get 1 or 2 tickets a semester, and many students do, you're now paying closer to $450 or even $500 per year just to park on the campus you already pay to attend. And if you're a student on a tight budget, this can be the tipping point. That's money that could go toward groceries, rent, or textbooks. Instead, it goes toward a system that still doesn't guarantee you a spot. Then there's the academic impact. Students are missing class, showing up late, skipping important review sessions, not because they overslept, but because they couldn't find a parking spot. And when your grade is tied to attendance, that matters. And let's not forget safety. I've heard from students who have talked to across campus alone at night in the cold or in the rain, just because their assigned lot was so far from their class or residence. Some lots are poorly lit, some nearly empty after hours, making them feel unsafe. For many female students, or those with disabilities, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's frightening. And emotionally, it's draining. Every morning becomes a gamble. Will I find a space today? Will I make it to class on time? That constant stress adds up. So when we say the parking situation at UK is a problem, we're not just talking about cars. We're talking about equity, safety, and mental health. And those are things the university should never compromise on. So far, we've looked at the problems, but what about the solutions? Because this doesn't have to be the way things are. We're not asking for perfection. We're asking for a system that's fair, accessible, and student-centered. First, the university needs to reevaluate how many permits it sells. Right now, UK sells far more permits than it has convenient spaces for. This creates a false sense of access. If they cap the number of permits to better match actual availability, or created more flexible access tiers, it would help ease overcrowding. Second, we need more options for students who can't afford or don't need a full year permit. This could include daily or hourly passes, limited use permits, or a pay-as-you-park system. Other universities use mobile apps that allow students to pay by the hour, even when they need to park. No overpriced upfront commitment required. Third, the university should designate free or low-cost short-term parking zones, especially near key academic buildings. Even just a 30-minute or 1-hour grace lot could make a huge difference for students who need to run in for a class, meeting, or office hour. We also need better lighting and safety and structure in more remote lots. And ideally, more reliable shuttle or transportation options from those distant areas to the heart of campus, especially during evening hours. None of these ideas are impossible. Other universities across the country are already doing them, and it's working. So the question becomes, why not us? A more flexible, transparent, compassionate parking system isn't just possible, it's necessary, because students are paying enough already. We shouldn't be penalized just for showing up to learn. Parking might seem like a small issue from the outside, but for students, it touches every part of our day: how we plan, how we learn, and how we feel. The current system at UK isn't affordable, and it isn't flexible, and it's not fair. but it can be if we speak up. Students deserve parking options that reflect our needs and our reality, not just a hefty price tag with no guaranteed access. Let's advocate for smarter permit options, safer lots, and real solutions, not just for ourselves, but for future Wildcats too, because getting to class shouldn't be the hardest part of our day. Thank you.